So can I get started?
Sure.
Sure. Okay, so welcome everyone. Yes, so and thanks for the nice presentation. And I just felt old when you say those things about is an MVP since this and an MCT since this. It just makes me old, nothing more, because technology changes so much that when I hear people, oh, I have like 25 years of experience. Okay, congratulations to you, but tech. So only the last years matter, right? So that's kind of it. You always get some experience out of that, but technology changes so much that it's not super relevant. And this is for the youngsters there, the new kids there on the tech that just don't feel a little bit afraid of people that have that many years of experience, because sometimes from certain topics more than they know. Okay, never forget that. So, and yes, so my session is about running HTTP based applications in Azure PaaS. And this is my Azure App Service edition, because if we say platform as a service to run HTTP based applications in Azure, there is so many options out there. But today I just bring you, okay, just the Azure App Service edition. We only have 45 minutes, and even 45 minutes, look, I have a workshop, which is like a 2-day workshop just on app services. It's just like 2 days of this. So as you can imagine, there is a lot to talk about this. So doing my short presentation, yes, I'm Tiago, I'm old, and I'm a cloud architect and advisor, okay? I work as an independent contractor, which is something that I feel very comfortable in doing, and I've been doing this for more than 10 years now as an independent contractor. And to be honest, it's great. Allows me to work for amazing customers out there. Allows me to travel the world. As you can see, I already visit 77 countries, and that's kind of one of my life goals, is to reach 100 countries visit. So I think I need to work my Asia and the APAC region, because it's pretty poor, I have to say. I have like just 3 countries there. Okay, so I really need to work out that part, maybe like doing like a tour on that region, because it's one of the regions that I most enjoy in the world, to be honest. And I'm not saying this because I'm doing the presentation for you guys here. Okay, I'm being truly honest. And yes, basically I'm a regional lead and a bunch of other stuff. And what I do for a living is I help customers moving to the cloud, building cloud native solutions, okay, and also train people. So I'm a Microsoft certified trainer, and I help them, train them, and of course, also if the ones that want reached certified. And my area of expertise is Azure cybersecurity on the cloud, but that's my niche, okay? So what's the agenda? App services, okay, what they are, plans, how can we deploy this, what options we have to deploy to this, configurations, scaling, deployment slots. And I have a total of 5 slides, okay, of content, excluding, covers and things like that. So this is going to be, like super hands-on. I think it's what you want. I'm not going to bore you to death with PowerPoint. That's not my goal today here. So let's just go with that. So Azure App Services. So this is the first slide, okay? And I have 5 slides. Just to introduce the topic, what they are. So they are a PaaS service that we have in Azure that are fully managed, and they are optimal to run HTTP-based workloads like a web application, a REST API, something like that. They can go up to 100 instances. Some of those instances, you're going to see them, they can reach 16 cores and 32 gigs of RAM. So, okay, it's not a very large virtual machine in the back, a large compute, but it's not small too. And we can have 100 of them. This comes with an integrated load balancer. So again, it's a PaaS service, fully managed. You don't have to worry about that like you do if you're doing this with virtual machines. Someone, probably not you, but probably someone from infrastructure, they need to create a load balancer. They need to create the several virtual machines, and then configuring all that load balancing. And I'm not going to bother you all the things that they have to do there, but there is a lot to cover. There's a lot to talk about. Here, no, it's done for you. So that's a pretty cool thing. Also, what we have here that is also really, really cool. What we have here that is really, really cool is that this is not just something just for .NET. And yeah, we are here in the .NET conference today. I'm sure you all do .NET, but if you also do other languages, and look, like Ruby, Node.js, PHP, Java, Python, just to name a few, sure, they are also supported on this. And Windows and Linux support. So this is not just something that just runs on Windows. It also can support Linux workloads on this. And I just bring you some of the highlights that I have when I see and when I say app services. There is a data center coverage on this that is a worldwide data center coverage with Azure, because Azure App Services is a core Azure service, which means they are deployed in every single region that is general available. If there's GA, you're absolutely sure they have app services there available for you. So that's something that is pretty cool. We can also run functions, web jobs to run like some, background jobs. Functions are like great because they are event driven too, but we're not here to talk about them, but they also run in the app service. And then I have features like custom domains, and we're going to see this today. I'm going to do this today. Auto scaling, deployment slots. So those three things, we're going to cover them today. And we can also do very easily create a pipeline with Azure DevOps to do a CI/CD, or GitHub Actions, for example. Okay, even yesterday I was doing that. Okay, with the GitHub Actions for this. So it's pretty cool stuff, that we can do with this. And of course, yeah, we can integrate this with other services too, like Azure CDN, Traffic Manager, Front Door, and many others that are out there, like Key Vault, for example. There's also a native integration with Key Vault to store, like configuration keys and API keys and things on Key Vault instead of having those as application settings on the app service. So there's a lot in terms of integrations with other Azure services. And for me, that's what shines on Azure and makes me choose Azure, okay, and not going to other options that are out there in the market, okay? So what do we create? Well, we create web apps, okay? So a web app is basically the application where we're going to have things running, okay? I have like a small website. Sure, that's where I'm going to have this here running, okay? And then, of course, there's integration with Visual Studio, VS Code, DevOps, a bunch of other stuff that we already cover. We also have CORS support, very important if we're talking about REST APIs that you want to host. And then you have to say, hey, yeah, I will allow being called from that domain and that domain. You don't need to write the code for this. You can just natively, okay, in the service, configure this. Also built-in authentication. We don't have time to show this today. If we have, I will do it, but probably we're not going to have. But there is an identity provider that is a built-in identity provider with this, and it runs with Azure AD, Microsoft accounts, Facebook, Twitter, and I'm forgetting one of them, okay? But it's already there. You just need to configure it. It's really cool, but all things start on app service plans. So this is the first thing that we need to create in order to run our applications in here. And how can we do this? So basically, this is where you're going to define what is your compute. So what are the specs of your compute? This size of compute, okay? We call it a tier. A tier will also bring you features because there's plenty of tiers. Some will have features that others don't have and things like that, okay? Again, we can check the documentation. I will tell you where you can check all this. So we don't need to talk about this during our presentation here today. And then you also define this will run on that Azure region over there. And after you have your app service plan, it's time to create web apps. This is the last slide. Okay, and what are the web apps? I just create like 2 web apps, 3 web apps, 5, 6, 10 web apps. There's no limit. And they are all going to run on the same app service plan. Let's imagine I have an app service plan that is 1 instance, okay? And from a premium P1 V2, I can run unlimited number of web apps there. Of course, this will give you 2 cores, 3.5 gigs of RAM, That's the spec that you're going to get. You can't run unlimited apps there. Look, of course, there is that compute that will limit you in terms of what you can run over there. True. But if they are pretty small applications, you can really run a lot of them. Got it? And if you need more, you can create auto scaling on this, and you can just, just have 2 instances when you need 3, 4, 5, 10 instances when you need to run your applications. Okay. So there you go. So with this, let's just do here a demo. And my demo, it's going to be basically about, let's create a new app service plan. Okay. And a new web app. I could do this first, the app service plan, then the web app, or, I'm already here in the Azure portal. I could just get in here and I could just say, hey, I want a web app, okay? And when you search for a web app, you just say create, I want to create a new web app. And what's going to happen is this is just going to create you the web app here, okay? So this is this instance, this instance details in here, okay? And then down there, you have the app service plan where you're going to run this. So let's just get started, okay? First, you always need to do this for every Azure resource. You need to choose a subscription here, and I have plenty. I can just choose this one here, and a resource group. I already created a resource group advanced for us today. It's this az.net Manila. And then what I'm going to create here is, let's just create here, a name for this. So .NET Conf 23? No, it's checking if this is taken or not. Usually doesn't take that much time, but let's just put some numbers in the end so that we're absolutely sure it's unique. So see this here, .NET something, .AzureWebsites.net. This needs to be unique, okay? Then we choose code, and because we're in the .NET 7 launch party, let's just go with .NET 7, right? And then I need to choose here a region for this. I can choose the operating system, Linux or Windows. And why this is taking so long, my God. Let's just go here with West Europe. West Europe, why? By the way, it's where I always do my demos. I'm based in Portugal, and West Europe is Netherlands. It's pretty near me, so it's just for that, okay? I could choose whatever region I wanted, but I know that here my subscription can create the stuff there and everything is good, so I'll just go with that. Then I have my pricing plan. I can say, yeah, let me create, a new one. So .NET Conf App Service Plan. And let's just click here where it says, you can just choose a pricing plan here, okay? But you need to know, this is easy for me. It's great for me, to be honest, because I know which plan I have because I'm already very experienced with this. So I was just like, oh, this is the one that I want, done. And I don't need to check anything more. If you don't, click Explore Pricing Plans, okay? And now you can check this as a table, see? And you have here the costs per hour, the costs per month, how much memory, how much storage you're going to get, what's the SLA, so lots of information. Even if you want more about feature-wise, just go feature there. And you even have more features like, oh, does it support custom domains? Oh, all those support. Ah, okay, got it, So feature-wise, it's pretty easy, okay? So there you go. My case, look, I'm good with this. I'll just close this, okay? I don't need this because I know I want premium V2, the P1 BV2, because it's the one that gives me 2 cores, 3.5 gigs of RAM. And then, I can just go to the next tab, which is about deployment. In here, look, I could just enable continuous deployment on this if I wanted. And I could just, do this with GitHub Actions. So I have to have some repo on GitHub, and I could just say, hey, yeah, deploy this app here. I'm not going to do that today. There's also more networking, monitoring things. Monitoring, this enables application insights. I'm going to select no, but to be totally honest, this is something that if we're talking about, production applications, I always select yes. I think it's something that is very important to have. But of course, this is a demo. We're not here to talk about application insights today. I said no, so that it speeds up the process on the creating here, the web app and the app service plan, okay? By the way, I have like 0 stuff ready. So this all needs to go well, the demos, okay? So I don't have any safety net here, okay? Everything will go well. It's Azure, so that's usually not a problem. So let's go. Let's see what this creates. So we just need to wait a second here. Usually this doesn't take that long, see? There you go. So let's go to the resource. This is our resource. And of course, now you can just click browse. And if you click browse, you know, this will just open the, you know, the page. Okay, that's basically it. Okay, nothing, you know, nothing fancy in here. Okay, so let's go back here to the app service, because I really don't like that page. I don't know about you, but I want to have, you know, my app there. So let's just go with that. So let's just minimize this. And as good developers that we are, we use Visual Studio Code, right? And let me see what I have here. Let me close the, oh no, not that, damn it. Okay, so let's just go with this. Let's open the terminal here. Okay. What do I have here? Let's go with demos. Let's create here .NET new web app. Oops. Dash name, I don't know, like what, .NET Conf. I'm just creating here, you know, just a small web app where it is .NET Conf. There you go. There you go. So if we open this in code now, okay. So, you know, just a standard web app here. Okay, nothing, definitely nothing fancy, okay? So welcome, .NET. Okay, so there you go. So let's just save this. And now look, Control-Shift-P. And this is just to show now the integration of code with, okay, with Azure, and mainly Azure App Services. So I can just choose here App Services. You just start to type app, okay? And I have this one here. Oh, Azure App Service deployed to web app. That seems to be good. So let's just go with that. That's the folder. Add the config. And I'm just going to choose one of my subscriptions. This is the subscription. Then what is the resource group where we have the app to deploy? .NET Conf. That's the web app that I. And hey, this is going to overwrite everything there. Sure. So now this is running a pre-deployment task. Just running a bunch of stuff. It's complaining that I don't have some stuff installed on this machine. Yeah, whatever. Okay. And if we wait, you know, just a second on this, maybe more than a second, but you get the idea, just an expression. So it's deploying this, and this is where I usually should have, you know, an animation and having someone dancing, like on TikTok. We could just put some TikToks of people dancing now. Okay, there you go. Okay, so this is done. I can browse to the site. And there you go. See this amazing application that's super complex, right? And if we see this, see the link there. .NET Conf with the numbers that we have, and look, it's here, it's live. Okay, so this was the app. If we refresh this, let's close this so that we don't have that many things opens. There you go. Welcome .NET. Oh, conference. Ah, damn, I have a typo there. Ah, let's go and fix that. So conference, right? And we save this now. And look, again, deploy here. And yeah, that's the one that I want. Deploy and see how this is going to deploy again there. It's like so easy, you know, to do something like this. And we're just going to see it's just going to be fixed immediately. You can tell me, hey, Thiago, but you know, better to have a Git repository, this, sending this somewhere, like DevOps, GitHub, and then configuring a CI/CD, process for that. Sure, not one thumbs up, but 2 thumbs up on that. Absolutely true. Okay, but we're not here to talk about DevOps and today, so I'm just going to do things like this, or else my demos will take a little bit longer to prep. All of that. But yeah, definitely true. We just needed to do like a push of our code now with the fix, and then there's an agent in the back that will just take care of the deployment for us. Okay, that's definitely true. Okay, so let's just go with this. We can just check this here, and bam. Okay, and it's fixed. See, we have our typo fixed there. So you see, super easy, to deploy something. Just doesn't take that time to deploy something like this. Of course, look, now you tell me, but Thiago, this URL here is like horrible. I agree. I really don't want to have this on the side of a bus, to do some, some advertisement about my company. For sure not. So let's go, okay, and and let's just fix, okay, let's just fix that. So if we are here in the web app again, and we go under custom domains, I can add, a custom domain. And in my case, by the way, I already own a custom domain called azcontoso.com, so I'm going to use that domain. Okay, so I'll just say here, what's the name that I want? I'll just say .net .azcontoso.com, something like that. Okay, so it's verifying this domain validation. It's telling me, hey, look, you need to have a CNAME, okay, of the host .net to this value. So let's copy this. Right, let's go. This is the DNS zone. I have it in Azure. I already had it open, and I will add a record set for this. So it's .net, .azcontoso.com. They were saying it's a CNAME with that value. Got it? I'm doing this in Azure because I have the DNS zone of this in Azure. If you have this in another provider, like your internet service provider, it also works. There's no problem, okay? The second is saying you need to have a text record of this. Okay, so let's just copy this with that value. So sure, let's just go back here. Let's just do this. Let's just put this in here. It says this is a text record. And then if we go back here, let's copy this here. And let's just put this in here, okay? And we just press OK. Cool. So now that I have those 2 things there, okay, what I have to do is I just need to validate this. And green. Green is always good here, okay? And then, because it's green, we can add those. And just right away, we have custom domain configured. But what's the problem here? Oops, not this, sorry. Is complaining about that. Yeah, that domain is here. Awesome, but there is no binding with this. What basically saying is I can't do HTTPS for this because you don't have the SSL TLS certificate, configured for that domain. So sure, let's fix that. Add a binding, and when you do this, I can just say here that look, there's several options for this. Okay. In my case, I have this. I'm going to say import the second option here, okay? Import an app service certificate, because I already have that one. I just already bought it. I'm paying for that, and I already have it here. So I just want to use that, okay? But if you want, you can say create an app service managed certificate, and you can get those. Now listen to this, for free. Yes. Free certificate. A lot of people, when I'm doing these presentations, one of the questions that a lot of people do to me is, Thiago, can I use Let's Encrypt with this? Because, it's free, and, if you're just doing a small project or something like that, it's like awesome, You don't need to, but you can if you want. Sure, you can. You can use those here. They are fully supported, but you don't need. Okay, so let's just go import, and let's just go with this. And there you go. It validated all of that, and I can just click add. And now, there you go. It's here. Okay. And by the way, if you want to know how to put this, you can always go to my website, by the way, and just put here free certificate. And if you search for this, there is this link here, okay? Azure tip, add an SSL TLS certificate to your Azure web app for free, okay? And this is just a little bit outdated, by the way, because I say here, no support for naked domains, but they already support this. I need to write this because this was written on 31 of March 2020. So, you know, as you can imagine, it's Azure, things change, got it? So there you go. So this is working. So if I just now copy this and I just put this here like this. So HTTPS, you know, .net azcontosa.com, and I do this, bam, it's just working. How cool is this? Huh? It's here. And of course, now look, if we click on the locker, connection is secure, and we click there, you can see the details of the certificate in here. This is issued by GoDaddy in this case, but I never have a relationship with GoDaddy. I did everything in Azure, got it? So there is no need for you to, you know, also buy stuff for another provider, things like this. It is really cool stuff that we have in here. Got it? So there you go. So that was the demo on, let's just open this here again. This was the demo about configuring, you know, a custom domain. Of course, look, there's plenty of more things, okay? Like one of the other things is in terms of configurations, you can just go to configurations. And under configurations, you can create here application settings and connection strings that this here will override what you would add, for example, in this .NET 7 here on the app settings.json, okay? So it's the app settings.json, you know, I just put here, you know, something, oops, not this, you know, some key, some value, okay? So something like this, you know, oh, and a comma there, of course. If I put this and then some value in here, what I can do is I can just go to here and I can just say some key, so exactly the name, same name, and another value. And this another value will override the one that you have on your app settings. And of course, look, I will cancel this, okay? Same stuff for connection strings. You just do the same stuff here for connection strings. You have to select, I imagine, SQL Azure, for example, and this will also override the connection that you can do, that you could do in here, okay? So that could be something that, you know, very easily you can do from here, okay? Oops. Let me just go back here. Okay, so more stuff that we have here is we also have a bunch of other options in the general settings. So here, this is the app settings, but then there's like general settings, default documents, path mappings. And if you're already configured, you know, website on IIS, you recognize all of those options. In here, so this is the .NET 7 that I have selected in here. And then you can select here, like, hey, will you allow WebSockets? If you want to, you know, allow WebSockets, you need to come here and say on. Do you want always on, HRR affinity, HTTPS only, okay? So you can select a bunch of stuff, you know, in here. You can even do remote debugging. Oh, this is a nice one, okay? So this, of course, comes off by default, which kind of makes sense, right? But you could turn this off and just say, yeah, I'm using Visual Studio 2022. And you can do remote debugging from Visual Studio, like community, professional, enterprise directly into your app service. This is like, wow, okay? So really cool stuff that we can do with this, okay? So let's go with this and let's talk about something else. What do we have more? So next, it's about scaling. Okay, so what can we do, you know, with scaling? So there are two types of scaling. There is this, you know, first scaling type that I have here, which is basically scale up. What is scale up? Scale up is just vertical scaling. So getting a bigger VM, a smaller VM, something like that. So I could just come in here and say, look, instead of the P1 V2, I want the P2 V2. So I'll just go with that. Because on this one, see here, you get 2 CPUs, 7 gigs of RAM instead of this, okay? And then, of course, you're going to pay more money for sure, but you need this. So you just hit select and you're done. Vertical scaling, nothing fancy. Ah, damn it. What about the one that they call your scale out? This is the one that I'm going to demo now. And it's horizontal scaling. So horizontal scaling means instead of having just one instance, I want to have more than one instance. How many can you have? Depends on the tier that you selected. I'm in the premium tier, so I can go up to 30. Here, 30. There, but I told you that there is one, Thiago, you told that what is 100? Yeah, there's another tier called isolated. And it's the isolated is the one that you can go up to 100. But 30, wow, it's a lot. Let's be honest, right? So sure, there is manual scaling, which is how many do you need? I need 3. You press save there on the top. That's it. Okay, and now you have 3 instances. There is an integrated load balancer. It'll take care of everything for you. You don't have to do anything else. Got it? It's done. But of course, look, manual scaling is cool. I'm not going to tell you that's not cool because it is, but it's not like very useful because sometimes I have demand, then I don't have demand. Okay, so it's something that we need to work it out. So for me, I love this auto scaling. Because let's imagine this use case. I have a customer, and this is, by the way, it's a real usage pattern of one of my customers, okay? That they have, it's a very specific business, and they have lots of, needs in terms of compute Friday and Saturday evenings. It starts around 6 p.m. up to 11 p.m. It's when they need a lot of compute, aka they need like 5. That's based on all the X3 that they have. They told me like 5, it's the sweet spot. But we still sometimes, get more demand. Sometimes we get like demand that we're not expecting, okay? And we're just like, oh, we got demand, lots of, things in here. So that's great. So they never know when that happens. So unpredictable load, predictable load. That's the technical name that we call this. So for unpredictable load, I'll just start with that. And I'll just say here, well, scale based on a metric. There's this is the UI of this is horrible. There's like a link here. You really have to look very closely for this, okay? And then if you click there, you have your metrics. I'll just go with CPU for my demo. And I'll just say, if the CPU percentage of my app service plan, so all the instances that I have here already running right now, it's greater than 75%. So this is what we're doing here. So greater than 75% in the past 10 minutes. Okay, so the last 10 minutes, the average, okay, is greater than 75%. I will take some actions. What is my action? Increase the count by 1 instance. Okay, that's it. Let's click add. This is what I call scale out. But of course, I also need to do a rule that does exactly the opposite, scale in, because I want to save money. When I don't have the demand, I don't need to have 5, 10, 20 instances. I can deal with less. So let's click here again, add a rule, still CPU percentage, but now if this is less than a certain value, I'll just go with 35. The operation is not going to be increase the count by, but it's going to be decrease the count by 1. Get the idea? So if the load is less than 35% in terms of the metric CPU, I'm going to have one less instance on this. Then, of course, I can play around here with the instance limits. You saw that in this tier, I can go up to 30. But look, you tell Thiago, that will be great, but look, I can't afford 30. Can I limit that? Sure, let's limit to 10. You know, just put it there, limit to 10. That's it. So even if this needs more than 10, it's not going to give you more than 10 because you limit that in here. And why is that? Well, because you pay, okay, per app service plan instance. So this costs 123 euros and 12 cents to me in my bill here. I don't know if you noticed that, but that's the price that this costs per app service plan, per instance. It's not per web app. And I saw there's one question talking about if you pay per application. No, you don't pay per web app. You pay per instance of the app service plan. If I say, give me 2, you're going to pay the double, okay? But then if this only lasts, imagine 2 hours, you're just going to pay for those 2 hours because then you went back to just 1 because there is no demand after a while. Get the idea? So this is very dynamic. And in the end, look, you're not going to pay the double or 3 times or 10 times more per month. You're always going to pay just a little bit more when there was demand, you wanted to have more compute. But when you don't have demand, you're not going to pay, you know, that much. This is for the unpredictable load. What about the predictable load? See here, add a scale condition. I can now say I want 5 instances on repeated specific days on Friday and Saturday from, you know, 6 p.m. This is a 24-hour format, but up to 11 p.m. See? So 1800, 2300. And now, you know, you just press save. And now this is configuring all of this. And we're not in this, in my time zone, it's not 6 yet, okay? So it's not going to grow. But if it was, yeah, it's going to grow to 5, okay? Just immediately. And you have like 5 instances just there ready for you, okay? So this is the scaling bit that I have that I wanted to show you here. And now there's one last demo that I want to do, which is called deployment slots. Okay, so you saw me, you know, here when I was deploying this, right? So when I did like Control-Shift-P, I was always deploying to the web app, right? And I was deploying where? Well, I was deploying to the web app. There's nothing to tell. But of course, that's never a good idea. So the good idea is going to deployment slots. And under deployment slots, create a new slot. And let's just call this, let's call dev, for example, not on caps. Let's just call this dev. And if we see here, when this is creating, this is the name, oops, sorry. This is the name of our web app. And then dash the name that I put there on the slot. It's actually creating another web app, but it's a deployment, it's a slot app. So it's connected with this. And now what you can do with those two is this. So see here, I open this. So this is what you have here. So browse this. You see the traditional landing page, right? If you see the other one says welcome.net conference. This one is basically this here. And what I can do now is I can just go in here. Okay, and let's just open this. Let's just put here, I don't know, like an H2, for example, like .NET Rocks. Okay, something like this. And when I do now the deployment for this, blah, 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 and we choose, oh, damn, not in here, sorry. Deploy to slot. Deploy to slot. So you need to select this here, okay? See this option here? Deploy to slot, okay? Oops. Deploy slot. And when you do this, Then you select this, okay? And now, see, there's an extra step. And the extra step is saying, hey, I'm not going to deploy to production. I'm going to deploy to that slot. Ah, you know, the same stuff. Yeah, sure, deploy. Everything is going to be replaced. Yeah. You know, whatever. There's nothing there, so who cares? So now that I'm deploying to that dev slot, and now you're going to see what I have deployed there. And then I'm going to do something that is truly, I love it, is that I'm going to swap one with the other. Because we got to a point that we say, you know, this is awesome. This is exactly what I want. See there, .NET rocks. And in the other one, if I refresh it, there's nothing there. So I'm like, let's go to deployment slots. I'm saying, yeah, this is exactly what I want. I love this. So let's swap this. And when you swap, you just say the dev, the target is going to be production. And you just hit swap. And now, let me just do something in here, okay? Let me just do this. Let me put this here. Let me put the other one here. So you see this side by side, and I'm refreshing. And see, oh, there you go. It's there. There was no downtime on this. So I was refreshing, and you never saw downtime, right? And it's done. So now, see here, this is our production, but now we already get the cool new stuff that we have there. Imagine this was not an H2, was like a new feature that you added on your app, was like fixing a bug, you know, something like that, you know, just, of course, it's not an H2 that you're going to do this for, but also for that, you know, I have, for example, I never ever deploy to production. So what I have in terms of, you know, my Git flow is I deploy my main, you know, branch, master branch, and I deploy those into a staging slot. And then I swap the two, the production with the staging slot, because I have apps that take, imagine, 5 minutes to deploy. If you're deploying, there is no app. The app is down, right? And you don't want that to happen. And so I deploy to the staging slot, and then I swap them in the end. And then, you know, we never have a downtime. But now, don't forget one thing. If, let's go here, let's go resource groups. Let's go to our resource group. See, I have two resources here. This is the original one. The second one, the last one here, is our slot. And you can see this there, slot. And if we open the app service plan and you go to apps, you see those two things there. So yes, there is a compute, and that compute is being shared by the two things, the slot and the web app. And you could add more web apps on this, etc., in the same app service plan. And if you do that all the time, always think about something. They're going to compete for the same resources, the same compute. Got it? So performance-based testing on slots, never a good idea if they are running in the same app service plan as production. Correct? So never do that. And of course, if you have 2 web apps, 10 web apps running in the same app service plan, you really need to know, will they go along with each other in terms of usage patterns, performance, and all of that. So it's something that you need to ask yourself. There is one thing that you can do. If I go to the slot or any other web app, there is an option, and if you go in here, down here, that the option now, it's grayed out. There you go. It's just still loading something, which is this option here. Change the app service plan. Get the idea? So yes, you can move this slot to another app service plan. Then you're paying also for the other app service plan. Don't forget that. But then you can do performance-based testing without affecting production. Got the idea? So that will be super awesome. The stuff that we can do with this. This is really cool. The things that we can do in this. Okay. And yeah, basically this is it that I have for you today. Basically, if you have some questions, I'll be more than delighted to answer. So yeah, this is it. My name is Thiago, and this is how you can run your HTTP-based apps using the Azure App Service. And you can always reach out to me at follow.thiagocosta.com. If you go to follow.thiagocosta.com, you have like all my social networks there, even TikTok. Okay, so see, I'm old, but I'm up to date. Okay. So, and I don't know if you have any questions. I see here on the chat. So questions, the costs is the same if we had multiple web apps in the same app service plan. Yeah, it will be the same. Okay. I have another question that says, what will be the best option for small applications with basic operations? It seemed costly to have with basic, with SQL DB, etc. Yeah, not saying no to that. SQL DB is not cheap. Okay. Depending on what you call a basic application, because we all know it's very, open. You have the basic tier for apps that will cost you like 40 euros or something like that. So that will be a good idea. You also have the free tier, but the free tier you can't have custom domains and a bunch of other stuff. And then for running a database, check out Cosmos DB. And when I say this, people are like, what, Cosmos DB? Cosmos DB is freaking expensive, Thiago. Yes, but you get a free tier of 1,000 RUs, in Cosmos. So check out that. And check out even building something like this. Look at this. There's a static web app, which is an Azure service. You can build a static web app like an Angular front end, something like that. That then it can call a layer of like Azure functions that you're running in the serverless model. So you're just paying for what you consume. So if it's a basic application, I'll just say it's not going to consume that much. That then it's querying the free tier of Cosmos DB. Check out that. And I never did that, to be totally honest. Okay. I'm very fortunate to have budget and don't need to work around this kind of stuff, but never try that, to be honest. But I think it's a good thing to try and see what we can do. And it will give a good blog post and some cool videos online, just for you to test something out of that. Another question, how to bring our own domains from another provider to Azure? That's a very short question. You can't, period. Okay, so that's like the easiest question ever. So you can buy domains, which I bought that one, the AZ control. So I bought it directly into Azure. That you can do. Also, you have to be careful with which topologies you can buy, because you can buy like .com, .co.us, UK, sorry, .net, and some others, but not all of them you can buy. Okay, so be careful with that. But transfer domains, unfortunately, it's a feature that's not available today. Okay. What are options for low-cost WordPress sites? There are providers with nearly $20 yearly for WordPress with SSL, and yeah. So yeah, Azure is not for that, to be totally honest with you. Okay. For $20, you could never run a WordPress web application per year in Azure with all of that, to be totally honest with you. Okay. My website, unfortunately, it's still WordPress today. I hate it, to be honest with you. But it's a work in progress. I think until the end of Feb, I'm going to get rid of it. It's going to be a static web app made of some of the framework called Hugo, and made of basically Markdown and a bunch of other stuff, and some cool Git magic and etc. And I feel that sometimes we don't need WordPress, but WordPress has the magic of the extensions. I get it, okay? Hey, I need something to do this. Yeah, extensions. I know someone already built an extension, and I don't have to build it. I'm a dev. I used to do dev work a lot. So, you know, I always like to code. So I'm always afraid of what the hell this does, you know, on my code, on my data and all of that. So I'll just prefer code things myself. And also my needs are not, you know, super complex. So I prefer that. Will there be additional cost for deployment slots? Good question. The answer is no. If you're running them in the same app service plan, there's no extra cost on deployment slots. It's a feature that you have it if you go for the standard tier, because in the basic tier and lower, they don't have it available. So standard has 5 deployment slots per web app. Premium and upper have 20 deployment slots per web application, okay? And no, there's no extra cost. Only will be extra if, of course, you move that to a different app service plan. You're going to pay the other app service plan. Okay, there you go. I think I answered all the questions. Are there any more questions in here?
One more question just now. Somebody asked, will there be also a configuration or upsetting connection if deployment slot is swapped? Like, let's say sometime we have a development, different database and different storage.
So yeah, so definitely yes. So if you go here under, now that I have this, where it is, configurations, I'm in my slot, okay, by the way. And if I go to this, and I create here and I say, hey, I want an app setting, right? And I just want like, you know, like some key. And I put here like a value, right? Whatever. And see this checkbox here. If you click this and you say, hey, this is a deployment slot setting, that means that this key will not be transferred in the swap. Got it? And this is important. You really need to trick down this, because imagine you have dev pointing to a dev database or a, you know, a dev URL or something. If you change that, you know, you just want your code to change. You don't want that now production points to the production, production now points to the dev database. Get the idea, right? We clearly don't want that. So you have to check this things in here, okay? So that, and if we do this, let me just do this for you, okay? So if we do this, and now that I'm doing a swap again, it's just updating there. There you go, deployment slots. And if I do a swap, you can see here, okay, the source changes and the target changes, okay? So they will show up always in here, okay? So it's still not targeting that. I need to probably do like a control F5 on this to refresh the portal, because it didn't pick it up, but it will pick it up in no time, okay? Okay, so it's not picking it up. Well, it is going to pick it up, that setting, in no time, okay? But it will show up in here, okay? So that we can then have, you need to have careful with those kinds of things, definitely. Okay, cool. But I already had a customer that really had troubles with this, okay? Yeah. So the example of pointing to the dev database is from that customer. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. Yes, that I think we should handle carefully when we are swapping. So that should all be done. Yeah.
We're all developers here. We know that sometimes our products in the development product database have some funny names, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. That showed up on their production website, which is an e-commerce app. Yeah. That was not good. They got on the news so that you can understand, okay? Because some of the product, let's just say, they were not for the age range of their of their customers. Let's just put it that way, okay? So yeah, that was not good for them. Cool. But yeah, that's it. basically.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think all the questions are covered, and it was really great session. We got a depth insight about Azure App Service and some cool features we should try. So thank you, Diego Costa, for such a. I mean, within 75 minutes, we came to know almost all the things like
Yeah.
app service, deployment slots, and maybe in the future we will know more about some securities. So yeah, thank
No,
you
definitely.
again once.
Always open to give like a V2 of this session when you go, a little bit further, and we can talk about, like more about like the security bits of this, which we didn't cover. Yeah, there is like lots to talk about more. So, but at least you got like a good sense. I think the audience got a good sense of this, and then using the Microsoft Learn documentation, there is like also tons of stuff, and always people can always reach out to me if they need to know more, or if they still have a question that they didn't want to ask to the whole audience and they prefer to ask in private. That's fine. Just follow me on one of the social networks and just send me a message. Happy to help. Okay.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. A really great session.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. So with this, now we are into our session. We really had a good session. We got lots of stuff, lots of experience, and highly qualified speakers, and we MVPs. They all are MVPs, and they shared their experience, their knowledge in different topics with different examples, and you can reach to them through their even social media accounts. They have shared their if we see them in Twitter or LinkedIn, they are quite popular, and they are happy to share their knowledge, their experience. So with that, now we are in QA session. If you have any more questions, we will address it. Even if we have a question later on, you can reach to us through our community group. Either you can reach to our cloud expert group or .NET Girl, or even you can reach us through reset.com. So if you have any further questions, we will be happy to answer, or even if you want. And also regarding the today's recording, so this recording, all these recordings will be uploaded into YouTube, and for update you can follow these groups, either cloud expert group, .NET Call, or reset.com. So there we will give you the update about these recordings. And at last, I would like to help us to improve, to help you what you can simply you can provide your feedback through this. We have a QR code, or there is a link also. So with this link, we will love to hear your feedback, which we will take and we will improve in our future sessions and events. With that, all good, and thank you everyone for attending the session. That's it. So thank you
Thank you all the
everyone. Now,
attendees, and thank you all the speakers. It was really a nice session.
so with this, I think let's
We
end
can
up the session.
conclude. Thank you everyone. Have a good
Thank
time.
you.
Bye.
So we are formally ending the session.